Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today for our third event in our regional panel series. This is a series where we have been featuring panelists from all over the country, alumni who attended the event, attended our program from outside of California. And that's because this program and UCLA Anderson Executive MBA programs are actually not what I call regional programs. They're very much national programs. Only about half of our students live in the LA area. So we really wanted to give you that perspective as a prospective student to hear from alumni who may come from your region. Why did they choose UCLA for their MBA, and what was the experience like? So today's session is going to be focused on the East Coast and Midwest alumni. We did do a panel of the Southwest alumni as well as the Pacific Northwest. So if you missed those and you want those recordings, please do let us know. So before we do jump into the panel, I do want to do just a brief introduction to some elements of the program. I really do encourage you, though, this is going to be very brief. It's more just for what's relevant from a regional event. But I do really encourage you to watch our 30-minute on-demand webinar, which we'll send to you as a follow-up, or attend one of our virtual sessions, like our virtual Dean's Preview for an overview, or one of our campus experiences as well. We do have one on October 28th, and we'll be going much more in depth about the program. At the end, you'll also have the opportunity to ask the panelists any questions, so please feel free to join for that as well. So moving to the next slide, I just want to make sure that anyone who's joining knows that we have a really awesome EMBA admissions team here, 5 strong. We are all here. Hopefully you've met some of us, but if you haven't, we are here to help you every step of the way. So please take advantage of signing up for a one-on-one with us, or I do every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 12:30, I'm sorry. I do a Q&A session. So we are absolutely here to answer your questions and help you through this process. Next slide. So just to ground you in a couple things, here at UCLA Anderson, we actually offer 2 distinct executive MBA programs. We have the UCLA Anderson Executive MBA, which refers to our Los Angeles-based program. This is the primary program we will focus today's session on and where our alumni are coming from. But I do like to mention that we have a dual degree global executive MBA program as well. And this is in partnership with one of the top Asian business schools. You may have heard the National University of Singapore, also referred to sometimes as NUS. This is a great option if you would benefit from having an MBA that has an Asia Pacific and US focused curriculum, as well as network, since you become an alumni of both schools' networks. Our admission team actually recruits for both of these programs because the student profile is quite similar. It pertains really to how much work experience you have and how much leadership experience. So both of these programs require a minimum of 8 years of professional work experience. The average is more like 15, and a minimum of 5 years of management responsibilities, with the average being more like 9 years. I do always want to point out that when we say management experience, this does go beyond just people management. So this also includes things like leading projects or ownership of budget. Both of these programs are designed for working professionals. So you get the benefit of immediately learning in class and applying those learnings each time that you come to campus, and then coming and workshopping how that experience was with your professors and your classmates. Also, your classmates are going to enrich the program so much. They will bring that real world example, which will leave you with a wealth of functional and industry expertise. So both of these executive MBA programs are very unique, and I would say life-changing experiences, which you'll hear from our panelists as well. Next slide. So when we're doing an event that's focused on talking about, traveling in, or what would it be like to attend this outside the Los Angeles or California region, it's really important to understand the schedule. So I just quickly want to go over that. For the UCLA Anderson Executive Los Angeles-based program, it is a 22-month program. Our next cohort will be starting August 2024. We start every fall. And there's multiple schedule options. Same learning outcomes, same cohort, just how often you're coming to campus. So the bi-weekly is the more traditional schedule that you may be used to. Every other weekend you're coming to campus, Friday night and all day Saturday. The monthly and blended, both of these are called hybrid, and they bring you to campus one weekend a month. Still Friday night and all day Saturday for that once a month. And the difference between monthly and blended is monthly, in between your class sessions, you are doing on-demand recordings at your own time to make up for kind of those biweekly lectures. And in the blended, you are doing actually synchronous classes. So you're logging live onto Zoom on those every other weekends that you're not on campus. And you are actually logging on where everybody is on Zoom in your class and in your section. So it's not like you're calling into the biweekly section. So multiple different options, but the most important takeaway there is that there's an option where you only come to campus one weekend a month, 3 times per quarter. The UCLA NUS Executive MBA starts in May every year. And that one's a little different. That one is modular based. So you're doing basically 1 to 2 weeks per quarter in a different country. 2 of the sessions do take place in Los Angeles at the UCLA campus in August of each, your first year and your second year. But then there's 2 segments that happen at the National University of Singapore, and then a segment that happens in China and a segment that happens in India. So as I said, happy to go into more details of that in a one-on-one conversation. Next slide. So this gives you a sense of kind of where the geographies are that make up our class. So like I told you, less than half of our students come from the Los Angeles area. Now you can see that California, people do come from up and down the state of California, but about 9 to 10%, this is the current year class that just started, but the year before was about 10%. So 9 to 10% of our students are coming from outside of the state. And you'll hear today why the reasoning for that is. So that usually translates to somewhere about 15 to 16 students. And then we usually have a few that come international as well. So if you go to the next slide, I actually think I'm going to have time to get through this before Eleanor. So just want to quickly ground you in kind of the 4 main reasons that I think what I hear from students, and you may hear from the students today, why they come to UCLA Anderson when it may not be the thing that's right in their backyard. So what are our main differentiators? One is definitely how we put together our study groups and how our cohort is represented. So it's going to be very important that you look at who your classmates are going to be, especially in an executive MBA program. And we really pride ourselves that we have people coming from such a wide variety of industries and functions. Not every region of the country can say this, because if you're looking at our sister school up at Berkeley Haas, they're going to be more tech heavy. If you're in the Northeast, a lot of those schools are going to be more finance heavy. In the Southern California region, we're really fortunate to have a wide variety of industries. And the way we put together your study groups, which you'll have 3 of them in this program, is making sure that nobody comes from your industry and nobody comes from your function. So that's a really unique learning opportunity. Also, the opportunity to customize your MBA. Many executive MBA programs you'll want to look across the country do not have opportunities for electives, especially not as deep as ours. We have a wide variety of specializations, even specializations you can take if you're not living necessarily right in the California area. And that is a real opportunity for you to customize your degree and make sure that you are getting the learning outcomes in addition to the standard kind of program of study that an MBA offers. Entrepreneurship offerings. So this is one of our specializations, to be able to specialize in what would it be like to start your own company. And the reason I think this is so unique for us, and what I like to mention, is this reaches far beyond our students who are actually small business owners or looking to quit their corporate jobs and start a company. 45% of our students, which a cohort is typically around 150 students, choose our entrepreneurship option for their capstone thesis. And that's called Business Creation Program. And that is where you go through the exercise of what would it be like to start something completely from scratch and all the kind of research you'd have to do to actually get to the point where you're launching the business. And about half of those businesses actually do launch. So it's a really unique differentiator that other schools don't offer. Finally, UCLA is a top global brand. This again goes not just kind of regionally known. We actually just got announced a few weeks ago that for 7 years in a row, UCLA is the #1 public university by US News and World Report. And so our alumni span across the globe as well. And so you really are coming and getting a top brand as part of your education and your network. So we'll go ahead and throw it over to the panel, and I'll throw it to my colleague, Debbie Quigley, who's our director here of admissions. And she will go ahead and I know, Debbie, we're going to jump right into one of the panelists, and then we'll, just because I know our alumni are busy executives. So we're going to jump right into the panelist, one of the panelists, and then Debbie will give a little more information.
Thank you so much, Shannon, and welcome everybody, and welcome to our panelists. Eleanor Lackman is going to be our first up today. And thank you so much, Eleanor, for taking the time this morning. I know you're on your way out, and we so appreciate you hopping on quickly. So I'm gonna throw it over to you quickly. And if you could just give us your name, your graduation year, what you're doing now, and a little bit again about how you decided to come to UCLA and pursue the MBA, and your path to the West Coast, and a little bit more about the outcomes that you've achieved since your graduation. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody for being a little bit out of order. We EMBAs are very busy executives, and I have to jet off to another country in a few minutes. I'm glad to be joining here. I am from New York. I've lived in New York for 23 years. And I am a copyright and trademark lawyer. I'm a partner at Mishra, Silberberg and Knupp, which has offices in New York, LA, and Washington, DC. The reason I chose to get an MBA, I've been practicing law for nearly 20 years at the time, is really, it was something I wanted to do all along. I represent a lot of companies, and I thought it was so important as a lawyer to understand the overall business. And I think regardless of what segment you are in a company, it's so vital to understand what the marketing team does, how the company works, just to be able to see their points of view. So I really wanted to do this. I considered a variety of schools, and ultimately I only applied to one, which was UCLA. And the reason I did that was a few factors. One is I wanted to be around, I wanted to get a certificate in entertainment or a specialization in entertainment, which I did do at UCLA. Half of my clients are media and entertainment and sports. So I thought that would be more useful. In the New York area, I'd be looking at NYU basically. And I really didn't want to be around a bunch, I wanted to be around more variety than just finance. And I know that there are a lot of people in finance who are there. And I just wanted that diversity. The other reason is I spend a fair amount of time in California. I wanted to get to know a new group of people. And I instantly made 200 friends in the Los Angeles region, where the only people I knew before were essentially my colleagues at my law firm, which has been amazing. It's been an amazing experience. Why else? Well, UCLA also offered a monthly program. I have a very busy travel schedule, as I've established here. And it was just the option to enroll in a monthly program that was very compelling for me. It's very easy to fly across the country to spend a weekend every month in LA. And it's wonderful to do that during the East Coast winters. So that was also a nice excuse. So incidentally, my BCP team, I did join the BCP option. Only 2 of the 6 of us were from the Los Angeles area. So of course that created a lot of challenges with scheduling phone calls and meetings and everything else during the week, but it was really great to be able to meet people from a pretty diverse cohort. So let's see, what else? The value of my experience so far. So I just graduated in June. I'm getting back into the world after being a full-time law firm partner and a full-time student. The value, honestly, I started to see the value right away. I noticed that in talking to marketing teams, I could speak their language. I do it in the trademark world. I deal with brands all the time. And all of a sudden, some of the friction and the, questioning and all that just disappeared. And it really helped me build bridges within my client base. In addition, law firms are businesses. I've found that managing teams, understanding budgeting, all that kind of stuff has just made life so much easier, and made approaching just everyday practice so much better. We deal with negotiations and transactions in everything we do, whether it's your family, whether it's your work. And I really do feel that one of the primary benefits has been that. I wasn't going to get my MBA because I wanted to change jobs. A lot of people do, or they want to get promoted or whatever. And that wasn't really my goal. My goal was to just be better at what I did. And I was actually happily surprised at the various ways that the MBA program filtered into my life and enhanced basically everything I do. The reaction from my clients has also been incredibly warm and receptive. And for what it's worth, I still text and email with my classmates every day. As recently as 15 minutes ago, I was in a text thread. So I really do feel, now granted, it's only been 4 months, but I do feel like I made friends and connections for life from all walks of life who I know I'll be in touch with, until I stop working and probably beyond.
Thank you so much, Eleanor. So much of that we've heard over and over again, and it's wonderful to hear how you're still connected. And I can attest to the fact that you will still be connected many, many years from now as an alum myself. And thank you for sharing how you've really taken the skills and the connections that you've garnered over the last few years and continue to apply them. Thank you so much again for taking the time today. I know you have to run. So if there's any last takeaways that you want to share, that would be great. Otherwise, hopefully we can allow participants to connect with you on LinkedIn and ask you more questions later, because I know you're going to be on the road now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for your flexibility. And I'm sorry, the co-panelist stories, I'm going to log on and listen to it later. You can certainly send me an email. I'm very findable on the internet and on LinkedIn. So if anyone has any questions about anything I talked about or anything I don't about the experience, I'd be happy to speak with anybody.
Thank you, Eleanor. Have a great trip.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate you jumping on. Thank you. Well, next we're going to hop over to Sudip Mishra. Hello, Sudip. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. And since we're going to be recording this, I would love you just to give a little bit of background, your name, your class year, what you're doing now, and tell us about your journey and how you chose UCLA from coming out of the state, and some of the outcomes that you have experienced and your experience in the program as well.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to the prospective students. I am Sudip Mishra, class of 2021 EMBA program. I was in the monthly. When I was applying, when I came to UCLA, I was actually based in Philadelphia. So I was flying out from Philadelphia to LA, and now I'm in New York City. I am a senior AI/ML platforms technical product manager at BlackRock. And I've been here for more than 11 years. Essentially, I wanted to pursue an MBA, mostly alignment with exactly what Eleanor said. I wanted to understand my industry better. I have been in a software developer engineering role pretty much all my life, and I wanted to understand more and gravitate towards a little bit more horizontal leadership rather than vertical leadership, like a single set of products. I wanted to understand like the entire landscape. I wanted to understand how finance works, even more details. I wanted to understand how marketing works and how different functionalities beyond just engineering works within BlackRock. And this was a great opportunity for me to take different electives from UCLA. And that's where the elective programs is really, really useful. I'm still using a lot of learnings from the electives in my work today. And it also helped me to kind of pivot from a, vertical leader to a horizontal leader. So I went, stepped from a technical leader to more of a senior product manager across organization that sees over 1,000 engineers today. So that was one thing. Second thing is like from a networking piece of view, I wanted to obviously learn from my peers who have diverse set of leadership experience, work experience, backgrounds. And this sort of diversity I was kind of like craving for. I was actually accepted in multiple MBA programs on East Coast. I did my undergrad here. I did my master's here in computer science, and I've been working at BlackRock for a long time. So all of my experience has been East Coast focused and finance focused. And then when I went to other programs, like meetups and sessions, I immediately learned like I'm going to be surrounded by finance people all over again. And I wanted that diversity. I was hungry for the diversity. And I felt like the best way to get that diversity is actually go to a completely diverse location that is not New York. And this is where like, LA came into place. And as I learned more about UCLA, I realized like, you have so much representation from military industry. You have so much represented from the Silicon Valley. You have represented from the entertainment, the lawyers, the people from medical background. And that's where I felt home, because that's where I felt like this is the place where I can actually learn and grow and try something different, which is completely out of my comfort zone. So I used to commute from Philly to LA quite frequently. But I saw that commute as a blessing rather than a nuisance, because they were like the direct flights are actually really good. Like you sit on a flight, and then you get out in LA, so it was not really bad. The second thing is like the distance also helped me create a psychological barrier between work and study and education and self-growth that allowed me to like stop looking at my work email, stop looking into my work laptop, and focus like, hey, I'm on the plane, I'm going and investing in me, and I want to like create this buffer of 3,000 miles or 2,400 miles so that I can focus on my own self-improvement. And that really helped me to create that psychological barrier. That was like one of the biggest things that helped me. And I used the flight time was my favorite time, where I would print out my case studies that I needed to do and just read through the flights and just like take notes. That was like one of the most productive times I had during those weekends. In terms of value, I see a lot of value. We have still a lot of essentially when you're going to UCLA program, you're not only like learning and getting better, but you're also like adding a family. You're being part of that UCLA family and Anderson family, and that family stays with you. We're still connected with a lot of my peers from my class, and we're still, the threads, the chats are still there. Anybody needs any help, they just like shoot in text on the chat room. And I think the value from a career growth perspective has been tremendous. Like previously I said, I was in Philadelphia. I got a series of promotions that helped me move to New York City, where I ultimately wanted to be. I'm in a role that went from from a technical leader of like 4 or 5 engineers to a product leader across like 1,000+ engineers. So from a value perspective, it has been multiple layers of value that I see. I'm going to pause here for any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, Sudip. And I so appreciate your sharing the journey, and never have I ever heard anyone so loving flights. But I love how you created those boundaries for yourself, and you were able to take advantage of that space and time to really enrich your learning experience. And just like Eleanor, the networking really, I think, showed up well in your story. as you've created a network across the US and probably globally at this point as well. And that you were able to, I thought it was very unique that you were able to even relocate on the West Coast through on the East Coast through a West Coast school. So I think that was really, really interesting and valuable for our prospective students out there. So thank you so much. I'm going to go to Grant, and then we're going to open it up to questions. Grant, welcome. I'll wait 1 second here.
Just getting set up. Oh, hello.
Yeah. Hi, Grant. So nice to see you. Grant is a current student. He'll be graduating this year, if I'm correct. And
yes, this
we'd love
spring.
to just, welcome you and have you share your story with us as well.
Okay, love to. So my name is Grant Tsuchiya. I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm an EMBA 24. So as mentioned before, I will graduate this spring. And I actually started, like, surprisingly, it was a year ago. I can't even believe it. It's gone so fast, but also been so enjoyable, and just been really enjoying the program. My past is being an engineer. I have an undergrad in mechanical engineering and then a master's in systems engineering. I've always worked in engineering at medical device company at Abbott since I graduated. And let's say about fall 21, I was a top level engineer in process development. I was kind of indirectly leading functional groups. And I've done all the activities and challenges that maybe an engineer might experience there. And in process development, I'm developing manufacturing processes for our new products and developing strategies before we commercialize. I've been a part of like a bunch of product launches and such. So in general, it was just not challenging anymore. I was kind of on cruise control, ready for a new challenge. I was able to put my hat in a kind of a drawing to do a mini MBA program through the UCLA Executive program that my company sponsored. I was the only one that put their name in the hat, so I ended up getting it, which was really nice. So that exposed me to the other side of the business. I had worked with operations a little bit, so I understood of like little cost of goods sold, maybe some manufacturing stuff and how we sell, but really didn't understand how the business runs. And that program exposed me to everything, and I absolutely loved it. I really found what my new challenge was going to be and where I wanted to grow my career. Through that program, I met a lot of the professors, got to hear some how they teach and what the topics I will learn. And that always interested me. So I decided to apply and got in. And why, one of the big questions is why travel to LA? You're going to hear a lot of the same stuff that you heard before, but I wanted to network outside of the Midwest. I don't really know anyone on the West Coast, and there's so much technology and startups and companies on the West Coast. You have entertainment, finance, everything on the West Coast. So I wanted to grow in that way. And I also wanted to be exposed to a diverse network of people, both of their backgrounds and of their professions. And I felt that I could get that at UCLA. I chose the blended option. So yeah, traveling once a month there is very doable. But for me, I like the structure and the accountability of having class Friday, Saturday, or the structure of knowing when class is and then having that live support. So if I have a question, I can ask right away. And that was valuable to me. The other thing that really interested me about UCLA is the international global immersions they do. They do 3 per quarter, and they also have an EMBA IBR where you go to a curated trip to a country. We just got back from ours. I was in Chile for a week and then a little add-on trip to Patagonia. It was absolutely amazing. So fun, so much learning. And also with flying, I also did the same thing that of others. I used that time, first of all, to relax. I would try to watch a movie first and get a little bit of calm time from my life. And then I would jump into class and get prepared, reading, finishing off any assignments. And being outside of Minnesota allowed me to fully immerse myself in school, both in the school experience, doing like maybe some career development programs before and after class, and the social networking experience of hanging out with people, going to get dinner, doing the after class activities. And it was really nice to be able to disconnect and just fully immerse. And the value that I've gotten out of it. So within the program, just this spring, I became a senior program manager, which is what I was trying to work towards, moving out of engineering and getting a broader experience. And I can also speak so much more languages. I can speak with marketing and understand their concerns. We have a lot of regulatory functions here, so I understand their concerns, understand the business concerns and costs of developing a product and getting it manufactured. I also improved my interpersonal skills and communication and motivating teams through the classes I've taken. I found I've been more effective at that. And the biggest value, again, will always come back, and everyone repeats it, but I have to. It's an amazing network. I have 160 people in my class, and I can message any of them at any time and ask a question, work through problems, ask if they know anybody that might be able to help me, and I'll get a response back quickly. And then we just also have so much fun. So
I love it. Thank you so much, Grant. I love that you mentioned the community and the collaboration, and it really doesn't matter where you're coming from. I think once you're there and once you're a cohort, the bonding is sort of, it's an automatic thing. Every year they say, I don't know how you pick this cohort to be so cohesive. And it's I think it speaks to the diversity of the cohort and like-minded people who are drawn to the program. And that's why we're hearing similar things from all of you, I think, in terms of the outcomes and the takeaways and how much you've learned. I mean, you're still a student, right? You're in the thick of it, and you've already gained so many skills and had so many experiences that I think will, affect you personally and professionally going forward forever. So thank you for sharing that great story with us. We really appreciate it. I would love to open it up to questions quickly. I know we have Matt online, not to put you on pressure or anything, but do you have any questions for the panel today? And if not, of course, we have a couple more slides to go through as well, but welcome.
No, thanks for asking me if I had any questions. I really don't. Everything was so well covered. I listened to the 30-minute information video the other day, which helped me out a lot. And then especially hearing from the alumni and from Grant's perspective as he's in the program. I think really I had a bunch of questions about the diversity of the groups, and then the curriculum, which each one spoke to in depth. And then the reason I'm looking at the same thing, just to understand business, the marketing, finance aspect, especially coming from the military, which it's all I've known for the past so many years. So that's the one difference. Don't know what job I'm going to be in at the time of going through as a student, but still just kind of understanding the broad base of marketing, finance, how business operates, I think is extremely helpful. But they really answered all the kind of questions or areas that I was looking at having more information. So I appreciate it. Really informative. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. And hopefully we can connect you on LinkedIn with the panelists. I think they'd be willing to do that. And I would love to, great, thank you so much. Love to send it back to Shannon. We have a few more slides to wrap it up with some more information on the program. So thanks again to the panelists. It's been wonderful to hear your stories, and we can't wait to hear from you again in the future.
Thanks so much. Yes, these stories and Grant and Sudip, it's so fun to have known you in the admissions process and see how far you've come. So thank you so much. So just wrapping up for application requirements, would say that, it's definitely a manageable process. Again, we're here to help you through it. and make it less daunting. One thing is we do not require an exam. Obviously, if you're taking an exam for another school, we know how to interpret this, but our feeling at UCLA Anderson is we had historically required the exam and used it to understand where you were from a quantitative standpoint, since many of our students don't come necessarily from a finance or engineering or quant heavy background. However, what we decided to do is we actually created our own pre-MBA math class. It's a 7-module class, self-paced, and it's something we offer to all of our admitted students who then enroll in the program. And if you don't have a strong quant background, we're going to require it that you take it just to make sure that you are going to be successful in the program. We then ask for things like your transcripts, a resume to understand your path and career path and management experience. We do ask for 2 essays to learn about you as well, and then 2 recommendations. And the recommenders can be people that you ideally have reported into, or maybe skip level managers. We just send them a form and ask them to share things about working with you, especially how they give feedback to you and how that was received. So that's why I think about somebody who is someone who's had kind of management responsibilities over you, if ideally. And then if your schooling is outside of the US, if for some reason you don't have a bachelor's or master's from the US, please just check with us to see if there will be a need for you to take the TOEFL or IELTS exam. Anyone who we want to move forward with in the application process gets an interview. So that means all admitted students actually have all had an interview with us. So that is a great opportunity for us to get to know you a little better as well. So just going then to the kind of deadlines coming up, if you're looking for this cycle, for the UCLA Executive MBA program, we do have 3 rounds. However, we're on a rolling admission basis up until May 1st. So please apply at any time when you're ready, and we'll get you going through the cycle so that we can get you an answer as soon as possible. But these are that people seem to like deadlines, and we do see spikes in applications around these times. And then finally, if you are considering the UCLA and US Executive MBA program, I'd just like to mention that their deadline is a little bit earlier. So if that was something that you're interested in, we just ask that you jump on that a little bit sooner. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining today. I'm going to go ahead and just stop the recording, but you know where to find us if you have any questions at all.